I'm going to give this land. So for people that don't have children yet, that would imply that somehow we're going to get this connection going here and I'm going to have some children. But we got to understand, Sarah is already past the age of child rearing when this original message comes down. So Abraham has got to formulate in his brain somehow or other, how do I make sense of this? My descendants. So he ends up taking his nephew, and whose father had died. So Lot goes with him. And so they get to the point where they're in this land that they finally settle there. And they're so prosperous, they got so many flocks, they can't stay on the same land. God has blessed them so much, they can't stay on the same land. So Abraham goes to Lot, and they go to this place on the land, and they look out over the land. And Abraham defers to his nephew, and he says, whatever you want, Lot, you take one section, and I'll go the other way. We'll live in peace because we're just too big for the land. I mean, you got to be thinking of herds and flocks and pasturing. And so if the herds don't have enough pasture, they're not surviving, and there's conflict and all those kind of things. So Lot looks to the right, to the left, and he goes down and he looks in this lush green valley, and he says, hot dog, I'm taking that one. This is some good property over here. And Abraham says, okay, I told you, just go ahead, take a look at it. Well, it happens that that's the land of Sodom and Gomorrah. All right? So this is kind of what we'll dig into. Sometimes when things look like they're the best thing to do, they may not be. Abraham would have probably handled the Sodom and Gomorrah situation a lot better than Lot did. Lot just kind of flowed right in with that, moved into the city, and got caught up in that. And if you read the story of Lot, it's just a messy story. It's kind of ugly. Even when God tries to save Lot, he's still hanging on to this decrepit town that he's in, and even offers his daughters to be raped and abused in exchange for these men trying to get in and take this take the messengers of God. So that's a whole other story. But we got another part of the story here, reaffirming the inheritance. So God, this whole time, is speaking to Abraham, and he's reaffirming these descendants. Now, what I want you to be thinking is Abraham stupid that God has to continuously tell him over and over and over again, you're going to have descendants. I'm renaming you. I'm calling you the father of many. All right? Why does God do that? It's just a little question to throw out and think through that. Why is that happening? Now, one of my, and God also sends messengers, and they rename Sarai and call her Sarah. Now, Sarai, Sarai, she's called my princess. That's what that name means. So it's kind of, she's isolated for Abraham. She's his princess. When she gets renamed, she's just renamed princess, which can imply that she would have many under her. So that's a nice little forerunner of a little taste of where God's taking this. Now, one of my funny things here, I think God has a sense of humor. If you look in the Bible and you're reading the Bible, there are just some things in there that you're looking at this and going, if you just read it and you just go over it and you go, oh, okay, yeah, you did this and did that. But just think about this, okay? You're older now, and you did have a son already because you're trying to play God's hand. You're thinking you got to get these descendants. He gets a maiden of Sarah, and he has a child. So they get to this point there, and God says, okay, I want you to circumcise everybody in the group here. Okay, just think about the guys that are following you. You know, your herdsmen and all this. They're going, you know what? Abraham's been right on about a lot of stuff, but he's going way over the edge on this one. Getting circumcised, you know, at this age. And everybody, he just comes out and says, everybody's getting circumcised. You're going, wait, hold up here. Abraham, what's the deal here? Okay? And this was like the slaves that he had, whether they were foreigners, anybody in his clan, this is what had to go down. And so, but this was God's sign. And this was a seal of a covenant with him. So this was serious business. And then, the irony is, at the announcement, the angels come to Abraham, and there's Sarah, and they come to Abraham and they announce that Isaac will be born. All right? And this is, Abraham is 90, he's 100 years old at this time, and Sarah is 90. All right? So they announce this, and Abraham still doesn't get it. Okay? He still can't get in there. And I mean, to give him some leeway here, I mean, I'm 100 years old, my wife's 90. Now the irony of that is, prior to this, part of the story is, and Abraham's a big story, so we can't cover everything, but part of the story is, Abraham is exposed, he has to go to a land, and he's with this leader called Abimelech. And so, prior to this, when Abraham went to Egypt, since Sarah was so beautiful, and at that time, if you were under another nation, and all the beautiful women were just removed, they were taken from you. They took them and said, they're for me. You know, these leaders, if you're under my jurisdiction, I take all the women. I take the women, and anything I like that's a prize, I take it for me. So when he goes to Egypt, he lies and tells Sarah to say, hey, tell everybody that you're my sister. That way they won't kill me. Because if they knew that they were married, Abraham's impression at least was that they would kill him and take Sarah anyhow. This way they might have a chance of letting him live. Well, in actuality, she was his stepsister. Okay? So the irony of that is she actually was his stepsister, but this was all wrong because God's telling him, he told him to go to Egypt. They went to Egypt. He told Pharaoh, Sarah's my sister. Pharaoh takes her, gets all these plagues coming in his family, and they're trying to figure out what the heck's going on. Ever since I took this woman here into my group, I'm getting all these plagues coming into my life here. Something's wrong here. So Pharaoh calls Abraham on and he says, yeah, she's my wife. What are you thinking? You know, so they boot him out of there. And then years later, you think Abraham would learn. He does the same thing over again. He's under Abimelech. He tells Sarah, tell them that you are my sister. They take her. Abimelech gets all this stuff going wrong in his life. And finally comes to the conclusion, it's because as soon as I had her come into this group here, now no man has touched her, and God even gives Abimelech a dream. You touch that woman, you're in a big heap of trouble. Okay, Lord, how do I do this?